But first, as we reflect on President Trump's first year in office, we check back in with some familiar faces. I sat down last night with a group of 6 voters in the swing state of Virginia, most of whom I had first talked to during the election year. Thank you all again for talking with us. We do appreciate it very much. A year and a half later than the conversation we had with 5 of you in August of 2016. So I'm going to start this evening with the host, the gentleman whose home we're having this conversation is, Bill Lubinacci. Thank you very much for having us here. Let's just start with a basic question. How do you think things are going in this country right now?
I don't think they're going very well at all. I didn't want Trump to be the new president, and I think a lot of things have gone wrong since he's become the president.
Corey Sullivan, you said when we talked a year and a half ago you were planning to vote for Donald Trump. How do you think things are going right now?
I at least feel a much more positive outlook in the year, at least financially. I think we had a huge progressive win in our tax reform with the Tax and Jobs Act.
Kia Hamill, what about you? You were a supporter of Hillary Clinton. How do things look to you right now?
Well, I'm surprised and not surprised. I'm disturbed, and I was concerned about his temperament last year before the election, and I'm even more now concerned about his mental stability and whether he's fit to lead the country.
And Allison Katzman, you liked Donald Trump when we last talked. What's your sense of how things are going under his presidency?
Well, I'm very, very excited and happy. I'm glad that we finally have somebody who's leading this country who is not going to let us be played for a sucker as a nation as we have in the past. It's about time we had somebody that stood up for the American people.
Farah Iman.
Well, I'm looking for opportunities to find a reason to believe that we're going to pull through as a country. But at the same time, I'm surprised by the fact that we have someone who is the leader of our country who is just unabashedly tearing the Constitution apart, who has no regard for social constitutes and humanitarianism.
Tom Smith, you voted for Hillary Clinton. You were not a Trump supporter. We're now a year in. What do you think?
Well, I wasn't looking forward to a Trump presidency, for sure. But I don't think I could have imagined anything worse. And I feel like I've never seen the U.S. so isolated in the world. Back at home, on one hand, you know, after Obama, we were talking about the end of racism. Well, now we know that was hardly the fact. And I think it's been helpful to see just how strong racism is and that it's a minority. It's a significant minority, but it's a minority of people who are really challenging the bedrock of our national assumptions about equality and justice.
Corey, I want to come back to you on the economy because several of you have brought it up. You said that's one of the things you've liked. And have you felt that personally, the economy?
Absolutely. I mean, just as an example, my children's 529 plans have done amazing in the last year to the tune of north of 20% returns. My 401k has done 25 to 30% last year. These are all wonderful, positive things I haven't seen for the better part of 10 years.
The economy is going great. And we look at the stock market, it's fantastic. Things have gotten a lot better for me in terms of job opportunities. I think there's more demand. There's been a couple of jobs that I've had to juggle because there's been so much work.
Bill Lubinacci, what about, I mean, you can't deny the economy, at least the stock market's doing really well.
Yeah, I think it's great that we're doing very well. My business is doing very well. I'm waiting for us to fall off the cliff when it doesn't meet the expectations or the promises.
Kia, what about you? I mean, you're not a fan of this president, but how's the economy been for you?
Actually, I don't have any stocks. So I can't see how a Trump presidency financially has benefited me. I feel like I represent mainstream America. most Americans aren't invested in the stock market. Most Americans are working, minimum wage jobs. I happen to be a very small startup company, an entrepreneur, and I have not seen yet any benefits. And I'm afraid that just because the corporations may bring their money back within these shores, it's not going to trickle down to the employees, because $14 every 2 weeks in your paycheck extra is not any money.
What about immigration? I mean, this was an issue the president ran on. He was very tough on that issue, said he was going to build a border wall, that he was going to be very tough on people who are in this country without documentation. It's come up again just recently. How do you size up this administration, this president, on immigration?
It's a personal issue for me because my wife and I have been going through legal migration, and all the DACA bill does is reward those who have broken a law and circumvented the legal process, and rewards them and penalizes families like my own who have gone through the legal process to immigrate.
How have you gone through it? What is your particular situation?
My wife is of Eastern European descent, and we got married abroad, came back through, and have gone through a very long 5-year process now, and she's still not yet a U.S. citizen.
Kia, you were reacting when Corey was speaking about immigration. What are your thoughts on this president and that issue?
I was always sympathetic to the Dreamers because of the fact that they have been in this country all of their life through no fault of their own. But what actually brought me even more strongly into the debate was when the president made the S-hole comments about immigrants from African countries. I'm an African-American woman, born and raised here in the United States, but my ancestors were from Africa. And for you to advocate that people from European countries such as Norway come over here, as opposed to allowing people from African countries or other countries where people of color would come from, is flat out racist. And the president is racist.
Is he racist, in your opinion?
No. He's opinionated. But let's be fair about this. How many of us are planning a vacation to Haiti? I mean, he just sort of lets it loose, and he's a kind of a New York type, and
But do you think
he lets go with a lot of stuff that he's thinking, and there's not a filter on his mouth, and we'd better get used to it, because that's what everybody really believes and thinks deep down, and Trump is just saying what's been there anyway.
It's not what I believe and think deep down. It's not at all what I believe and think deep down. We as a people have to decide what kind of society we want. Make America great again can't mean make America white again. It can't. We can't let that, and we can't let the things that he's saying just go by and say we have to get used to them, have to accept them. We don't have to accept them. Racism in this country is becoming emboldened and out of control. And it is reminiscent of things that have happened in other governments in past years, such as the Weimar Republic when Hitler rose to power, and many other governments where despots rose to power and forgot about the notion of mercy tempering justice and the notion of people caring for each other.
I did want to add, I can't go to any kind of social event or interact with people who are Democrats without somebody, and this is before Trump, some snarky remark or some little snide comment, and they don't know I'm a Republican and I have to keep my mouth shut.
I need to let Kia say something.
One thing that President Trump has done is he's re-energized that. And he's told the white supremacists that it's okay for you to pull off your sheets. And it's okay for you to espouse hate, xenophobia, anti-LGBT views. It's okay for you to discriminate. And this is what is most disturbing about this president, is that he's hateful and he's the leader of the free world, and he is openly doing this. And this is hurtful to people. This is divisive to the American people.
Do you all think the country is more divided now, a year into the Trump presidency, than it was, I don't know, halfway through the Obama administration? Corey?
Absolutely. Anytime the Democrats don't win an election, there's divide. I mean, that's what my adult history has shown me. And that's the center and cornerstone of it. And it's not about the right and the wrong, or the left and the right, or the progressive.
I think the results of the interim elections would argue against what Corey is saying. I think that people are starting to come together now to, Democrats are winning in historically Republican districts all over the country in these interim elections because people are rejecting what the Republicans have done since they've been in power and since Trump has been in power. And I'm hopeful, even though I've never been a Democrat, I'm hopeful that this Republican leadership will be gone with the 2018 elections this fall.
So we've heard that from a couple of you that politicians have too much power, but who's giving them the power? It's us. I mean, that comes down to us as the American people.
I'm a substitute in local schools. In the middle schools, you have children who are more impulsive, mouth off in inappropriate ways, and I'm reminded of President Trump. He reminds me of a middle school bully. Now, is he fit to be a president? I don't think he's crazy, but I don't think he's the model of what I would want in a president, and certainly his policies are hurting more Americans than it's helping. And you mentioned divisions. The divisions have always been there. He's brought them to the surface, and I think he's done us a favor in that regard.
And you used to want to be, as a child, you aspired to be president. What do we have to offer our kids when we have a president that's, slut-shaming a senator on Twitter? What kind of message is that sending to our children?
If you wanted to talk about the deterioration of our culture, we'd be here all night, and it didn't start with President Trump. Admittedly, he does say some outrageous things or tweet some things, but we could look at Hollywood, we could look at movies, we could look at TV, we could look at, there's just been such a huge, in my lifetime, there's been a huge cultural shift in everything, and promoting very liberal values out of Hollywood.
Rights for the disabled, rights for gays and lesbians,
like
expanded civil
transgender
rights.
Everything, gay marriage.
Transgender,
it's
yes.
just not. It's not the kind of thing that most of us grew up with, and
That's right.
and conservatives are being vilified for believing a certain way, because it's. Like
My life's
the
not a
culture
reality.
I guess back
My
to
life's
Trump.
not a reality show.
Back to Trump. Reality TV is a very good example.
But my life is
back
not
to
one.
Trump.
And the
you
fact
can't
that healthcare,
blame Trump for all of the
but the fact that
money
healthcare,
that's being vested on the American people, and this isn't the 1950s anymore. And you can't just say, "Oh,
All right.
Trump shouldn't say that, and he shouldn't say that," when everybody is swearing right and left.
Let's focus on the future. There are big, important congressional elections happening this year. They call it the midterms. How much do these elections matter to you? Do you intend to get involved in the congressional or Senate race in your state? And, what do you think? Should the Congress continue to be controlled by Republicans? Should it be controlled by Democrats? Corey?
I think if the midterm elections go Democratic to both House and Senate, you're just going to see a gang rush to impeachment proceedings, because they've been looking for their pound of flesh for whatever story or storyline that they've been supporting. If it stays Republican, I think you're going to hopefully see some more initiatives.
Virginia is going to lead the way with the not only resist Trump, but resist Trump with a purpose. And we are going to be energized. We are going to show up. We are, training and supporting more women candidates who are running for office. And we are interested in pushing policies that benefit people.
For me, both parties are on the take. It's the rich people who run the show, no matter which party is in power. I think the Women's March last year was a watershed moment, and there are going to be some incredible women coming forward.
On this question of divided, united, how worried are you about the country being divided, people being divided? Does it affect your daily life? Is it something that you think we need to fix to become more united, or is it healthy for us as a democracy to debate all these things and to have these vigorous disagreements?
the civil discourse that we're having allows for us to find common ground, allows for us to have discussions that are important for us as a nation without name calling, without belittling each other's opinions.
I think a lot of America realizes community starts from exactly that. Your neighborhoods, the places you go to church, the places you go to school, the places you enjoy your time as families in the areas that you live. And I think that's where the divide can start coming back together, because these are your neighbors, these are your friends, your family. These are the people you relate to, you have that common ground, yet at the same time you share those vast differences. And that's where that dialogue begins. I don't think we'll ever see anyone in Washington or Richmond, for that matter, solve this problem. If anything, it's to their job description to make it worse.
Absolutely, but we need to be led and we need to be challenged
Yes.
to actually do those things. It's nice to say in my community, this is what I aspire to as an individual, but we need a leader.
I just feel like everybody's become much more tribal, and we don't identify as Americans at this point. We identify as African Americans or Hispanic Americans or whatever, or by our political party, or even beyond ethnicity, religious, or there's people are not identifying as a whole. They're identifying within their subgroup.
So about the future, just finally, anybody want to say they feel hopeful? Not hopeful?
I'm always hopeful for the future. I think that's been the great strength of America, our willingness to move forward, to invent, to listen to each other, and to find ways forward.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.